Barry Loudermilk is with us. Barry, how are you, sir?
Doing good, Glenn. How are you doing today?
I am really good. First, let me talk to you about what is going on. First of all, let's start with the pipe bombs. What is the latest on these pipe bombs?
What we have learned, and the premise that we went on in the previous 2 years that I was investigating, is that these pipe bombs were placed in the evening of January 5th.
Correct.
And so everyone was going off of that premise. That story doesn't fit with the facts that we're finding. That the pipe bombs had a 60-second egg timer on them.
60
So
minutes.
how
Yep.
could you place?
Thank you.
I mean, a 60-minute egg timer, right? I started researching that. I talked to some bomb experts, and they said, well, quite often that is an override. In other words, you have an electronic trigger that actually sets off the bomb, but you put the egg timer on to basically set it, and it triggers the other trigger. You know, it enables it. It just basically gives you time to get away. So we were going on that premise. Well, one thing we get is the lab report from the FBI. There was no electronic timer. The only timer was that 60-minute egg timer. So it's impossible that these pipe bombs were placed and armed on the night of January 5th. They had to be placed at some point, not long before they were found on January 6th, because a lady that lives close by to the one that was placed by the Republican National Committee, she said there were still 20 minutes left on the egg timer when she found it.
Right.
So that's one huge inconsistency. The other is mysterious data, or data that has been it's disappeared. And it was when the FBI was doing geofence searches, they went to all the major cell carriers and asked for all the precise data of people who were in that area on January 5th and 6th.
Mm-hmm.
All the carriers provided information except for one, AT&T. AT&T apparently corrupted the data. Now, no, we kept hearing that the data was corrupted, and this is in my previous investigation. AT&T claimed they didn't corrupt the data. The FBI did. The FBI, we found out later, said no, the data was corrupted when we got it. Now that we get the real information, it becomes even more mysterious. There is a entity known as FirstNet. FirstNet was created by Congress after 9/11 to preempt cell service for law enforcement. So they only serve law enforcement first responders. So in a time of emergency, their calls take priority. So FirstNet actually sits on the AT&T backbone. For some reason, and this is where my suspicion started growing, is when the FBI contacted AT&T, gave them a preservation letter, said, save all of this data specifically around the areas where the pipe bombs were, because they have to go through the legal mumbo-jumbo to actually get the subpoena. So they don't want stuff to disappear. They send a letter telling AT&T to preserve the data. AT&T responds and says, you have to go to FirstNet to get this data, which raises my suspicion. Why are they telling them to go to the carrier just for law enforcement? According to FirstNet, that data was going to be deleted within just a few hours. So they were in this massive hurry to download all the data before it was deleted, and somehow it just got corrupted.
Why would FirstNet have access to the data? Why wouldn't it still be with AT&T?
I've questioned that, and this is what we're seeking right now. Was it law enforcement information that the FBI was seeking, or first responder? There was a reason AT&T sent them over to FirstNet.
Correct.
We don't know. And we've been told that FirstNet had just signed a contract with the FBI, and so they were handling all the data retrieval. So that's a possibility. I mean, these are questions we don't have that we are seeking right now. But the bottom line is, the narrative that we were sold on is not even close to what the evidence is bringing up.
So what does that imply? Who is giving us this false testimony and evidence?
Well, that's what we need to find out. Is it AT&T? Is it FirstNet? Is it, and probably likely to an extent, the FBI? So we're going to be requesting more information from the FBI as far as details of their investigation. What FBI had claimed, the Biden FBI, was, well, obviously the person who placed the pipe bomb, their data was in that AT&T set that got corrupted. I'm still having an issue with the corruption. I spent 20 years in the IT business. When data is never really deleted. It's always saved somewhere. It may be archived. I can't understand how such a carrier like AT&T would just arbitrarily delete data literally within a few days of a major event. In our previous investigation, we contacted all these carriers, and one carrier says, look, when it's a significant event, we keep that data forever. They said, we even still have data from the Oklahoma City bombing.
They seem to have found everybody, every grandmother. Was any other data corrupted other than this particular area?
That's what we need to know, but my understanding is no, just the area around the pipe bomb. And it was very precise data that would actually give you the distance from the cell tower. So this is what we're, kind of dealing with is you got to go off of some kind of premise. Well, why? We've learned who claimed to have corrupted the data. And what they're saying is they were in such a hurry to download it before it automatically deleted that it overloaded the server, and the server corrupted all the data. I'm thinking somebody needs some better servers if that's the case.
Yeah, that's weird for AT&T. What about the FBI saying that the bombs were viable, and lab never using that word viable? What does that mean? And also, is there a chance that this was some sort of a training exercise, or these were training exercise bombs?
Well, that is something I've recently brought up is when you look at the lab report from the FBI, and we're looking a little deeper in that lab report too.
Yeah.
It never does use the word, as you said, the word viable. It does say that there were explosive components in it, but it never says that it was enough to cause a massive explosion. And so from my time in the military, we did a lot of different training exercises. And if you're going to do a real training exercise, you make things as realistic as possible. I mean, I remember when I was in the Air Force, we had a simulated attack on our base. We literally had jets flying overhead shooting blanks, right? You try to make it as realistic as possible. Right. Especially for an exercise like this, you want a device that looks like a bomb and it smells like a bomb for a bomb-sniffing dog.
Yes.
But here's the issue. We have video of the Secret Service with a bomb-sniffing dog walking literally within feet of where the bomb supposedly was placed the night before and never hits on anything. If it is a training exercise, the bomb wasn't there when the dog was walking by.